Another session. I'm so excited. I get so jacked up when that intro and like the countdown, and then I get to see faces of some Hoosiers here as we are absolutely crushing today's live streams with great content in Canvas LMS. Thank you for joining us from all across all of our platforms, whether you're on Instructure's Facebook page or our YouTube channel with Canvas LMS. But we are broadcasting live and showcasing Keep Indiana Learning and doing all the great things that they are doing, and just being able to show that with our audience with great tips. And this session is already hot. The numbers are flying through the roof because I think just the title alone, Canvas Quick Checks, checking for understanding, is something a lot of educators are super interested in. So Tania Thompson is here with us today, along with Carrie, representing Keep Indiana Learning. We're super excited to get the session started. Please let us know where you're from in the comments section. Like, share, subscribe to all the channels so you get all of this great content. You get notified as soon as it comes out. But Tania is here to answer your questions about checks for understanding, which is great. So please put in the comment section where you're from, and if you've got questions, we'll be happy to answer them during the session. Carrie, anything great you'd like to say about Tania before you get started? Let's get her all nervous before.
Oh yeah, well, no need to be nervous. No need to be nervous. So little fun fact, Tania and I are both, we live in the same town. We didn't realize that until recently. We are both in Brownsburg, Indiana, and Tania is one of our 18 digital learning coaches with Keep Indiana Learning. And so an amazing thing that we've been able to do with Keep Indiana Learning in partnership with the UIndy Cell program is we have these 18 coaches all around the state who provide specialized digital learning support for content area needs and also digital learning needs. And Tania is one of our 18. So I know that what she is about to share is an incredibly important topic. We have been getting requests on this topic of checks for understanding all through the pandemic. And now even as we come out, I think as educators, we're realizing it is even more important now than ever that we really know what our kids know and what they need. So thank you so much for joining us on this live stream event today, Tania, as we spring forward. And I'm going to be quiet so you can get started and do the teaching.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here with you guys today. And I am hugely passionate about this idea of checking for understanding, which seems like such a small thing, right? Just this ongoing checking for understanding. But what I know is that there is nothing worse than getting to the end of a lesson or the end of a unit only to realize that your kids didn't get it like at the very beginning, like you lost them early on and didn't realize it until it's what seems like too late. And so the way to rectify that is to embed these authentic, ongoing checks for understanding and checks for student readiness. And Canvas is an awesome tool to do just that. When I think about Canvas and assessing, the first thing that comes to mind is those bigger, more like summative, in-depth formal assessments, you know, those awesome quizzes and tests and submitting essays and things of that nature. And I think sometimes we forget that there are tools right there in Canvas that you can use to tap into your kids throughout your lesson so that you can make these in-flight adjustments, or you can pull a small group, or you can say, halt, this isn't working, we've got to pivot. And Canvas is a perfect place to get all of that done. So today I'm going to talk about just four tools that are right there in Canvas that you can use to do these very quick checks for understanding. And quick is the key word here, because if you're doing these throughout your lesson, the last thing you want to do is to have to sit down and scroll through paragraphs and scroll through lengthy assignments to get feedback. You want very fast, in the moment, I see what I need to know and I can move forward kind of information, right? There are a lot of other ways to do this. These are my four favorite ways, and you're going to quickly be able to tell which one is just absolutely my favorite. We're going to talk about how to use discussions, how to use the quizzes, and specifically the new quizzes, the collaborations function, which is relatively new to me, but we're going to I'm going to show you what I know about it so far. And then the Canvas Commons, how we can use all of those tools to quickly check for understanding. So I'm going to show you how those tools work, but more importantly, I'm going to show you like actual ways you can use them, how you can play with them for quick checks for understanding. And we're going to get started today with my favorite. This one's my jam. Discussions are perfect for quick, what do you know? What do I need to know about what you know, and keep moving, right? So discussions, a lot of times we think of typical post a question and post a response, or the teacher posts a question, students post a response, and maybe they will reply to each other, that kind of thing. And that's perfectly fine, but that takes a lot of time. You've got to wait for everybody to post and everybody to reply. Then you might have a paragraph long response that you've got to read. We're going to talk about how you can do these very quickly and get these glimpses of student understanding. But before I jump into those, let's make sure we're on the same page. And we all know exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about these Canvas discussions. So we're going to be in a sandbox course today, just to make sure we're not sharing any student information. Any names you see are not student names and are perfectly fine to share, I believe. So over here in your navigation bar, you'll see that there is a link for discussions, and that's where your discussion tool lies. It looks like this, and it's where you store all your discussions. You can move them as you close them, or you can pin them to the top if they're more important. But today we're just going to look at how to quickly put one of these together. Remember, the operative word here is quick. So we're going to hit this discussions button, the blue button in the upper right hand corner, and it's going to look really familiar. If you've ever built anything in Canvas, it pretty much looks the same. You've got an option for a title. You've got this space, this rich text editor space, that you can do all the things you do in every other Canvas tool, as far as fonts and links and things of that nature. Looks very familiar, right? But the thing I want to point out here is this second little box at the bottom. So when I talk to my teachers about using Canvas discussions for quick checks for understanding, the first thing, maybe not the first, one of the first things they say to me is, Tania, why would I post this knowing that Jimmy is going to wait for Johnny to post and then he's just going to copy his post? Well, Canvas thought of that for us. And they put this tool here, this little box here. If you click it, it forces the students to post their response before they can see anybody else's replies. Okay, so you want to click that as often as possible. We're not going to look at this group discussion piece, but that's a whole other piece that you can integrate into your quick checks for understanding. But make sure you click that box if you want to make sure Jimmy's not waiting for Johnny to post before he puts his answer up. So up here, let's talk about what kind of things you can stick in this discussion to make them quick checks for understanding. So one way we can do this, of course, is to go very typical and go with a, I'm just going to post a question and I'm going to have students answer my question. So maybe your question is around ecosystems, and you might be doing this as an entrance ticket, right? Or a pre-assessment. I just want to know what you know. So maybe you post a question about like, what do you know about abiotic and biotic featured or factors? And you're going to post this question for them. This is a science question. Let me let you know something. I'm not a science teacher. I am an English teacher, but I support science teachers. So I've seen this question posted before. So you can choose down here who you want to see it. In this case, I want all the kids to see it. If you want period 1 and 3 to see it, you could choose those different sections there, and then you would save and publish it so the students can see it. And this is a very typical way of using discussions. Let's see how it looks for kids. Okay, so they would post here. They will not be able to see anybody else's posting before they post their own answer. Pretty straightforward, right? But let's talk about ways we can use this where we guarantee that what we get from them is quick and digestible, and you can use it immediately. So I'm going to show you a couple other discussion options that you have. And we'll start with this one. Sometimes you can post a claim, just any claim. Like I like to focus on claims that are connected to my content, connected to a specific skill, connected to a standard, not necessarily just a poll of your opinion. That has a place. That's just not what I'm going for here, right? So I'm going to post a claim related to something that we've been talking about in class. And I'll talk about this 5 words part in just a second. I'm going to ask students to respond to the following claim. So the claim I'm posting here is that infinitives always function as adjectives, right? So that's my claim. And I want students to either agree or disagree with my claim. The 5-word piece is something the kids, believe it or not, really enjoy. It's that limited word response. So you tell them how many words they can use to answer you. You have to respond to my claim in 1 word. You have to respond to my claim in 3 words. You have to respond to my claim in 5 words. Whatever works in your class for your content, you can limit the number of words. Remember, quick. So now I'm not getting the kid who loves to explain and explain and explain in a full paragraph. Now they're limited to 5 words. That's some higher order thinking. We added some rigor, and I'm going to get very quick answers. So now as they're posting, I can just scroll through their answers and I can see exactly what they know. Did they know how to use an infinitive in a way other than an adjective? And I can make quick assessments. So now I know who to pull in a small group. I know who needs to go ahead and move on to the next section. Those very quick determinations right there in the classroom. There's some other things you can do in this discussion that I want to show you though. So kids really enjoy this one when you ask them to respond with an image. So we're talking amphibians or types of animals, and I tell them post a picture of an amphibian. They're going to find a picture online or saved on their computer, and they're going to post them. This does require a little bit of front loading. So this is after you've talked about how to use the features, but they have access to the rich text editor just like you do. So they can embed pictures. And again, quickly, I can scroll through and see, what do my kids know about amphibians? The information is right there. Okay. Another example. Let's see here. Oh, I already did that one. Sorry. Oh, I'm going to build this one with you. So this one's for my math teachers out there. How can I use this in a math class? So error corrections are some of my favorite ways of checking for student understanding. So for a math teacher, you could post some type of math question and the answer could be errored or not. And you ask kids to correct it in the comments. Post a comment that corrects the error here or identifies that there is no error. So I'm going to choose the dreaded Facebook math problem that I think everyone has seen and is having nightmares about solving. And maybe it's just me because I'm an English teacher that I'm still dreading trying to figure this one out. So I'm going to post this for my kids and I'm going to tell them to respond and let me know, is this answer correct or not? Once again, I'm going to check this box to make sure Jimmy's not waiting on Johnny. And I might even allow them the opportunity to go look at one another's responses and respond to each other, like make a reply to your classmates about what they said. Maybe I don't engage at all in this conversation. I let them talk to one another. Now, what's really important here when we're checking for understanding using discussions is that this last bullet point, you have to have some very clear norms and expectations established in your class. You're asking kids to be very vulnerable. You're asking them to put themselves out there and share their thinking. You've got to do the front loading of creating that type of community and environment in your classroom where kids feel comfortable to do that. And you've got to make it clear to them what the expectations are. Maybe in those limited words, responses, if it's one word, it can't be yes or no, right? So think about ways that you can establish some norms in advance to avoid the things that you don't want to see. One thing I did forget to mention is when you use this tool as a pre-assessment, I like to use it kind of like, if you think of like a KWL chart, remember you would do what you know, what you want to know, and what you learned. So if I did that first one, I'll go back here. If we did that pre-assessment question, the one about the ecosystems, so maybe everybody posts what they know about abiotic and biotic factors. They post it here, and maybe you give them no feedback whatsoever. That's fine. You get the information and use it as you need it. And then maybe at the end of that unit or after we've studied these factors, we go back, I ask the same question, and now they get to do some self-assessment on what they thought, what they knew in the beginning and what they know now. This tool is so important and timely right now because a lot of us are still teaching hybrid. So now able to engage my online learners with my in-person learners. I don't have to worry about writing it on, the board and putting it on my Zoom or however. I can put this all in one place and they can engage with each other. Okay. All right, so that's the first check for understanding that we're going to talk about. Let's move on to the next one, which is Canvas quizzes. And specifically, I want to talk about the new quizzes, and we'll go into that in just a second. There's some things I want you to keep in mind when we talk about Canvas quizzes. Quick. Remember, everything's quick here. Keep them short, 1 to 3 questions. Because we want quick, we want to just do self-grading quizzes, things that are immediately going to give you feedback. So you're thinking multiple choice, you're thinking fill in the blank, and you're thinking hotspots. And that's my favorite. I'm not going to talk about multiple choice and fill in the blank too much. I think those are pretty straightforward and ones that we use typically. Let's talk about, though, this hotspot quiz function. So over here, we're going to just go to quizzes. I recently reordered this a little bit. There we go. And we're going to create a new quiz. And I'm going to choose the new quizzes. In case you've never paid attention to this, the new quizzes has features that the classic quizzes doesn't have, like this hotspot, which I'm going to talk about right now. Hotspot quizzes are a great way to grab information quickly, just like we need to. I use these a lot with social studies and science teachers. English and math teachers can use them too. We'll talk about that in a second. But here you're going to build a quiz just as you typically would. So let's name it something. How about we name it fruits. We're going to talk about fruit. And I'm going to set all my parameters as I normally would. I'm not taking points here. I want data. I don't need to grade this for points. If you needed to, you could, but I don't necessarily need to. I just want those in-flight information, right? Oh. So let's build this one. All right, so I'm going to give them some instructions, and it's important that you give them very detailed instructions here with the hotspot quiz because it works very specifically. So I'm going to tell them to click on the area of the map, if I could type today, to answer the question. And here's where I might be a little more specific. I'll tell them try to click on the center, and you'll see why in just a second. And I will also tell them to be sure to submit when you're done. I don't know about you, but my kids, for some reason that submit step just escapes them. I don't know what happens there. Okay, so now I'm ready to build my quiz. I'm gonna hit this plus sign and you'll see hotspot amongst other options, which are all great for checking for understanding. I just kind of like the hotspot one and try to use it a lot because it gives a little variety to class, right? So this question is going to be about fruits in the US. And the question I'm gonna ask is, which US state exports the most citrus fruit? You could ask any question you want here, but do you see where this is going, where I can use maps and diagrams and things of that nature? So down in this space, you're going to put the image that you want them to be able to click on. This could be the image of a sentence. This could be the image of an equation, and you want them to click on the step where they went wrong or where the student went wrong. Or this could be click on the predicate in this sentence. In this case, I'm going to have them click on a map, and I've already saved that map. So I'm just going to drag it up here. If I hadn't already saved it, I would have just hit that browse button and gone and found it saved somewhere on my computer. So I'd find the image, save it on my computer, and then browse it and upload it right there. You have 3 options for identifying the hotspot up here. You can do a square, you can do a circle, you can do an oval. I know I want them to click on Florida as their answer. Florida is not very square shaped. It's not very oval shaped. So I'm going to go with this polygon feature, and I can kind of create, this takes some getting used to, I will not pretend, but I can kind of create what I want them to be able to click on. So if they click anywhere in that area that's highlighted there, they're going to get the answer correct. I want to be very careful about that because I don't want them to just click too far to the left in Florida and get it wrong, right? So I am done, and I'm going to show you how this looks when the kids get to it. I'm going to go up here and preview. They see the question, which U.S. state exports the most citrus fruit? I want them to click Florida. Maybe they decide that it's California, and they click California. And they submit. It grades it for you automatically. They find out what they got correct automatically. There we go. And it tells them, nope, you didn't get it this time, kiddo. And here's the correct answer. They even give them that information, which is why you probably don't want to collect a grade on this particular one. I am able to, in the meantime, walk around with my iPad or whatever else, go to that moderate function. And if you've used the quizzes before, you know, in moderate, it's filling in that data for you. So I can instantly see who doesn't understand this. You're going to a small group. You're ready to move on, and any other in-flight corrections that I need to make, right? Okay. These are great to use not only with maps, but I've also used them with diagrams. I may even have one created already that I can show to you with a diagram. Yeah. Science teachers, this is great for science stuff. You like those scientific terms, science stuff there. Here we go. So this one has a diagram of the heart, and it asked them to identify the blah. You could tell that I was doing a sample one here. And they would click on the part of the heart that I was asking for. They would submit. And again, it gives you that instant feedback that you can use to make changes in your instruction. Okay, the next tool we're going to talk about, just moving right along, is the collaborations tool. This has slowly become a second favorite, I guess, to discussions. Again, because in my building, we are still hybrid. So I have teachers who are teaching virtually and in person simultaneously, and they want their kids to collaborate, and it's just not the same. And even if you have all in-person learners, kids aren't sitting, you know, shoulder to shoulder right now, but we still want them to collaborate with one another. So this is a way to assess their understanding through group work. I like to use this for building collaboratively, for error corrections, even for doing different practices. And one thing I want to point out is the power of color coding with this tool. So when we go to, let's jump out of here. All right. So when you want to start a collaboration, you click up here on Start a New Collaboration. And in my district, we use Google Apps. I believe some districts might use Microsoft tools here. And it depends on your district. I don't know what determines that. But I know that we have three options. We can use a Google Doc, we can use a Google Sheet, or a Google Slide. I prefer the docs, no particular reason. I'm going to pick three random people. I'm sure my principal, my librarian, and one of my department chairs won't mind that they are my people today. So I'm going to pick three students that I want to put in a group, and I've created that group. I'm going to name it. Uh-oh. Well, let's put it down here. For some reason, it's not like, there we go. I'm going to name it, and maybe they come up with a name, like a group name, and I'll call it the Rockets. That's them. And they are going to write a paragraph together. So now it's going to pop me into a shared document. And if you've ever done like HyperDocs, it's similar here, except it's housed right there in Canvas for you. You don't have to go to your drive and dig up where they shared it. It's all housed in this one place. And I might ask my students right here, I might say, create a color-coded key for me. So the kid named Roy, he's going to be in red font. The kid named Becky, she's going to be in blue font, and the kid named Brandon is going to be in green font. Oh, there we go. And I'm going to ask them to together write an informational paragraph, one person at a time. So only one person can type at a time, and they have to do it in their color. So now I'm able to quickly assess, Do they know how to write an introduction? Do they know how to use transitions? Are they able to use in-text citations? Are they supporting their claims with text evidence? And I can see exactly who contributes what to this document very quickly, grab information once again, right? Math, you guys can use this too. You could post a multi-step equation and ask the kids to take turns solving it. So again, they're going to create that color-coded key of who's doing what, and each kid's going to do one step until they get to an answer, right? So again, I get that very quick feedback. The last one, the last tool that I'm going to show you today is kind of a tool, I guess you could call it a tool. It's the Canvas Commons, because you know what? We're educators and we beg, borrow, and steal. And Canvas Commons is great for differentiation because you can find assessments that are above and below grade level quickly and easily, because that's what this is about, right? And then you can just import them and revise them for personalization. So I'm going to quickly show you how to do that. It's over here on the left if you've never used Canvas Commons. Where I like to use this is, say I'm teaching 8th grade English. I'm going to teach verbals. And in order for my kids to understand verbals, they've got to be very solid in their parts of speech. So I'm going to quickly assess their understanding of parts of speech. But I don't have that sitting around because I teach 8th grade English, right? So maybe I'm going to go to the Commons and I'm going to search for parts of speech. I'm going to hope that somebody's created something amazing. I'm going to filter it because I only want to use the quizzes because I want this to self-grade quickly. I can even tell it what grade levels I want to go for. So I want to go maybe upper elementary parts of speech. There's one. I can take it, scroll through, looks good. It'll be a fast assessment of their understanding. I'm going to import it, tell it where I want it to go. And then when I go back to that course, don't judge me for having all of these. I have a lot of courses. When I go back there and go to quizzes, that parts of speech quiz is imported and I can do with it as I choose. I can edit it. I definitely want to shorten it because it's 15. And remember, quick. So I'm going to shorten it and change it. And now I can make it my own. I don't have to create one. I was able to put together a pre-assessment in just a couple of minutes. My kids can take it in a couple of minutes. I'll have feedback in a couple of minutes. Quick checks for understanding. So those are the four tools that I use most often when I check for understanding. Again, those are not the only tools that are available, but they're definitely the ones that I run to most frequently and that I steer my teachers toward.
Tania, this is fantastic. I love that, you put your contact information there so others can kind of gravitate with any questions or ideas that they may have for you on social, which is so important as part of the Canvas fam and being such a big supporter of using Canvas for checks for understanding. I've got some notes. I took notes. I don't typically do that in a lot of sessions, but I took some notes because there were a lot of things in there that I haven't really dug into, like collaborations and some of those other pieces. The hotspot tool is one of my favorites. So I'm glad you touched upon it, and already getting love on social media and all of the channels that we're throwing out there. Great ideas, Tania. Absolutely. Loved your examples. I'm definitely going to follow you on Twitter. So you've gained some fans today out there in the Canvas world. Carrie, one more left, right? We've got one more next for one more with Seth Slater, I believe, in about 10 minutes. So stay tuned to all of these channels. In 10 more minutes, we'll have our last session of the day. I'm already sad with all my Indiana people and Keep Indiana Learning, and Tania with a great session today, checking for understanding. Make sure you like and retweet and share all of these sessions today so that everybody can just be better inside the world of Canvas, which we love.
Thanks, Eddie. Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you.